yeah, a full day, last full day. And they brought the topic of documentation in the morning, which is really tough at 9 o'clock. But I will try to make it exciting and show you what we've done and what will still come in the next quarters. So my thing, now it's working. From agenda-wise, I will start actually with what is possible right now, because I know that there are many of you quite new here to the game of Cloud ALM, so I really want to make sure that you know what you can do right away, what's out there. I brought with me here my product owner on development side, and we just talked. So last year in June, we launched the documentation app, and I think it's quite impressive what we already can do. Yeah, my name is Inge Seidler. I'm in the product management for Cloud ALM, responsible for solution documentation or documentation. And I hope you have an exciting tour with me. So let's go into the first round. Documents application is available in the Launchpad, again, since last year in June. And in the Documents app, you have basically all the great functionality that you have also for requirements and tasks. You have a list view, you can sort, you can search, you can group, you can filter by all the different attributes that we have. So basically, if you know already some of the other functionalities, then you will get very easily into these document application. You can create directly a document here, and the idea, or the basic idea is here that let's go actually back, directly can create it in the application, but you can also create it elsewhere in Cloud ALM. For example, if you're in the processes, you can, from the process app, directly create your documentation, and I will come to this relations later. One side remark, if you are already known to Cloud ALM, Notes was there since beginning of Cloud ALM. It was an easy way to document quickly some information. We migrated all the notes this year in June to the Documents application to really make sure that we don't develop two things in parallel. We brought some new, let's say, architectural ideas into the Documents app. It is now built on Fiori elements, so things might be quicker in the future. And that's why we said we're going to sunset the Notes app, everything in the documentation. And if you use the Notes, you will find in the Documents app your notes with the document type note. So you can still use a document, tag it with the type note, and then use it as before, but with much more functionality to come. Okay, so that's just, I'm clicking the wrong button on this thing. What's available today? Well, the heart or corner, the heart of the documentation application is really the content of the document. And that's here, we have a rich text editor. So we have functionality for creating lists, for formatting your text, so it is completely what you might know from other applications. And yes, it is not Word, but I come to this later. The idea, and that's also something that I would like to give you as a thought process, we are going into the cloud. We are going into more sophisticated in the cloud thinking, so we don't need to document to that extent maybe than in the on-premise world. And we also want to make documentation in the future much easier. So we want to go away from producing hundreds of Word documents or files. For sure we know what are the functionalities that you require, but we want to keep it really simple. So that's why we started here very simple, here with the with this content window where you can create your documentation. Then there are some additional information. You can categorize them by a type. So we started also here very simple with a list of predefined document types. Most of them you might know them from Focus Build, so we oriented ourselves on a very well defined set of document types. For sure, not everything is maybe what you need, and in the future there might be more to come, but have a look at the document types, and there are also other options already now to create kind of your own tags if you don't want to work with these types. You can set status. Also here we started with the same simple status model like in Solution Manager with in progress, released and in review. So very simple. Also for migrating from Solution Manager we need to start very simple, and then maybe in the future going forward. Priority, we have a document owner, and you can define the scope of the document, or leave it out. You don't need to define the scope. But right now, all the documents are created within a project. So that's currently the idea. We also have what we call references. So if you have a SharePoint in your project, and SharePoint has many great functionalities of collaboration and documentation, then you can also just use a URL to the SharePoint document and maintain it here in the reference, or maintain other sources, meeting minutes, PowerPoint presentations that might be useful for your solution documentation, and add it here as a reference. Also, this information can be uploaded, so it's very easy to then maybe take the information that you already have on the SharePoint and import it. And now I would like to go a little bit through a project and give you some ideas on how documentation can be used in the different phases. I will show the functionality, but a little bit give you an idea what you can use when, and maybe you get some new ideas already what you can use today without some of the functionalities that you might think you need. First of all, we introduced a copy functionality. Might be not a big thing, but think about it. You can already now define certain templates. Just go ahead and create a set of documents with all the specific types that you need. You can name it, so there's possibility to just use the naming, but there's also the tags. So you could just tag it as a document template, and then with a very easy filtering here, you can say, okay, give me my template view, and you have an easy way to directly access all the templates available. So just to get an idea, we don't have templates yet, but a good way to already get started defining your own document templates. And then, that's just an idea, very easy tags, you can create by yourself anytime. And then you can, in the content here, you can define whatever you have in your Word, maybe right now, just the document structure, the chapters, etc. And you can already get started with the document template already. Okay, just a first thought here. Again, just copy the template. It copies basically the content, but also the type, the owner, all the information, maybe even relations that you did, maybe relations to the process hierarchy, and then you can already have this information available. Okay, as partners, think about in the Explorer phase to come with a set of documentation that you normally bring to the customer, and you can import this. So we provide an Excel and also an API to import documentation. So just keep a simple template here with a title, status, etc. You can also import references, the document content itself as well as HTML and plain text. And then, basically you import very simply all the documents into Cloud ALM. Why should you do this? Well, you definitely need to somehow document certain processes, maybe attach documents to requirements. So you need to then relate the documents to other elements in Cloud ALM. For example, take a document and then you can search for all your processes and assign the document to one or more processes in your scope. And then you see here, that's the last tab that I showed before. Under relations, you can see you have then the document assigned to the solution process, or even the process hierarchy if you want to organize all your documentation and the processes using the process hierarchy. I'll come to this in a moment. That's a way to structure your processes, documentation, test case, everything, even cross-project. Yeah? So that's the first step into the cross-project era. And then you can relate, again, also assign them to requirements. And we even have here tasks. So just imagine that certain people have to add information to your documents. Just create a task, assign it to the person who needs to work on the document. Done. Yeah? So all of this is already possible and can be used. From a relations perspective, we have currently the possibility to relate documents for sure to all the task types, roadmap tasks, project tasks. The defect actually is also possible, user stories, etc. And for sure the requirement. We can also relate it to the process itself. So in the process app, you can directly create a document from there, and then the relation is already there. And yeah, what I mentioned, you can, outside the project, already assign a document to the process hierarchy, which again is cross-project and can be seen then by all other projects as well. I come to this also in a moment. We have already established now the relation to the application library. There was a session yesterday from the colleagues Skiba and Schulze on the libraries. And you can see here, going forward, we will have more relations to the other libraries. Yeah? So you can assign a document to a configuration library, your solution activities, interface library, etc. And also, we will make sure that you can assign documents to test cases and also document features. So then the document can be created directly now, and maybe certain relations can be done later. Okay, how to organize documents in Cloud ALM? For sure, I just mentioned you have this process hierarchy. Make sure when you start with the process hierarchy that this is something, again, going cross-project. So if you have multiple projects running in Cloud ALM, you have to align with the other projects because they will all see the same hierarchy. Yeah? So if the solution manager guys here in the room think about the solution where you have your process landscape documented. This is a little bit going into this direction already. Yeah, so you can even have here folders maybe for documentation storage. So you can assign a document to multiple places. You can say this document is a specification for a certain process, so I can relate it to the process. At the same time, I can also relate this to a functional structure here, to what we call hierarchy node in the documentation storage. So it's an easy way to actually relate it to my structure, to easily find it, and to assign it to the process at the same time, also for traceability reasons. Same document, no copy, anything, it's the same stuff. And if you use the process hierarchy, you have the big advantage to actually see your documents even cross-project. So you have your hierarchy. You will see all the solution processes from the different projects. So in the hierarchy, it's a cross-project analysis. You can see here, okay, there are documents in the project E2E transformation, and there are other documents assigned, again, to the same hierarchy node from a different project. Yeah? So again, going into this solution idea already. And in this hierarchy assignment, you can directly access the document, so you can from here directly jump into the application, maintain the documents, etc., etc. Okay, tagging, I just mentioned this. Tagging actually opens many, many options for limitations that you currently have. Just think about, okay, we don't have a country attribute or like a localization or language attribute. Well, you can just use a tag. We have tag groups to say, okay, tag group could be country, and then you have certain tag values, for example, I don't know, China, US, Germany. Yeah, and if you have a central tag management where you can really organize, maybe merge or delete tags that were accidentally created, and then, yeah, you can basically use these tags. And not only for documents, tags are universal. Almost all elements now have tags. So even in the dashboards, everywhere, you can use the tags to filter out what actually are you looking for? For example, everything which is relevant for rollout Germany, rollout China. Yeah? So use these tags wisely, think about it, and then they can already help you to organize maybe certain rollout of documents or of processes to specific countries. I saw here also some good ideas. Whenever I talk to customers, I see here different ideas on how to use the tags. And yes, it is not as organized as attributes, but just see also the advantages. The more attributes we are adding, the less simple the UI will be. So using tags might be really a good choice. Okay, I just mentioned we can assign documents to libraries, and that's another way of documenting cross-project. Because now, you're here in the application and the library application app, and yes, for sure you can describe maybe here the application itself also in this rich text. But if you have here a document, just think about possibilities that we add later, maybe versioning. Maybe extraction of information. So that's why assigning a document would then help you to also quickly find the document and the information in the document without going into the library application and reading the description. That's why think about the possibility to go cross here, and library, application library, only the first element to be cross. Whenever then the library element is used in another project, the documentation is visible as long as the project where the document was created is not restricted somehow. So if you don't want to see or don't want you to have a document that you created be seen by other projects, you can restrict your project, and then the document is not visible for other users of the application. Okay, documentation reporting. So whenever we develop a functionality, let's say a new relation, we start with the functionality itself, the relation, then we do the Excel import, API, and we also look into the analysis to make sure that this information can also be retrieved and tracked and reported on. Currently, we have one app in the dashboard, in the project dashboard, just showing documents by status and document by type. But in the dashboard, you can also kind of filter by the tag. So if you use the tagging, so let's say country rollout Germany, and you tag your documents, also here we can start with a certain kind of filtering of certain information based on the tags. We also have in the process and in the requirement traceability, we added the documents. I think I have this. Oh, no. We have entered the documents here. Again, all the values here can be adjusted. So if you don't want to see, I don't know, requirements, you can get rid of them. But for sure, you should see your requirements per process. You can see the documents. You can see already here the status values. So what's the current status? And you can even filter. So only show me documents that are in status release. So you don't see all the draft or in progress stuff. You can also search for documents which are still in progress because they need to be reviewed and released. So many functionalities you can use here. You also can search for or filter by different document types. So you only see, I don't know, process descriptions per processes, and you don't worry about all the other document types. So this filtering has really many functionalities for this document reporting. And I showed this already, the possibility to assign cross and to also show and view which documentation is already assigned to the different processes across the different project. Okay, last but not least, going a little bit into the deploy phase, you need to take care also on training documentation. And you saw in the I think on Tuesday and yesterday, many sessions on this whole transformation tool chain. However, if you currently don't have all the tools yet, but you have Cloud ALM and you have something like SAP Enable Now for your training documentation, then I have some good news. We have actually an integration. Actually, they are using our standard APIs, and we have an integration so you can exchange information between SAP Cloud ALM and Enable Now. What's the idea behind it? Quite easily, you can connect Enable Now with the project and the scope, or with the project and the tenant of Cloud ALM. And in the first step, you can import or to transfer the process content from Cloud ALM to Enable Now. So you already have, okay, what are my solution scenarios, or my processes and diagrams? You have them there for your training needs. And then you can transfer all the relevant documents from Cloud ALM, your project documents, into Enable Now in order to create training material, end-user training, etc. So this is done in Enable Now because they have all the great functionalities to create recordings, videos, etc. And then you can transfer this information back to Cloud ALM in order to then use this documentation, have everything in a central place in Cloud ALM. You know, you can also then search, okay, is all my training material available before I maybe release a feature? Yeah. Also, this can be tracked with the process traceability. Just select training material and you know, okay, is my training material available for the processes I want to release? Okay, for time perspective, I will actually, the video is as part of the, I think I released a blog on this, and it's available on the expert portal, but basically you have there a functionality here. Under documents, there's a synchronize button. Now we're going into the Cloud ALM. They show here, there are the processes. In the process, you have some documents. And again, this documents transferred over to Enable Now, and training material created, transferred back to Cloud ALM. Sorry for stopping the video, but I have some other stuff and the time is running. All right, so this is already possible. We have some other things that I did not even mention, but everything is, I think, available in, if you want to check it out, expert portal. We have many recordings, we have the latest blogs. You can also get a feed on new functionalities around documentation. So that's for this. And now I want to, for the ones that maybe already know all of this, dig a little bit into the future, what will come. Okay. By the way, you don't have to make a photo because this material is all available in the ALM Summit app. Maybe not yet, but it will come as PDF. Okay, just to explain, the green stuff is already there. We'll see in 2024, there will be still some things to come. One thing I need to explain, what is SDT? You probably heard it yesterday, selective data transfer. So right now we really concentrate on things to make this transfer for solution manager customers happen. Yeah, that means we are using standard Excel imports. You saw this yesterday, but it's also a good functionality for everyone, for partners who would transfer material into Cloud ALM just using standard Excel import. So here we have to do, again, we have to do some things here STD-wise, and then there are some information on new functionality around relations. I mentioned this, so basically I don't have to show this. The relation to the application library is actually already there. So the activity library diagrams. So right now, you can assign then documents and upload to the process flow diagrams, configuration, library, etc. So a lot of these library relations we need to maintain. And then comes, basically the more interesting stuff where I want to dig into. So first of all, I think this question came before yesterday. Get some water before I get into this topic. No, just kidding. External files. I get this question a lot. For sure, you have how can I upload documents to Cloud ALM? And yes, Cloud ALM is a cloud storage, and we have this fair usage policy and the 8 GB, etc. But for sure, people want to just have the possibility to just take a document, upload it into Cloud ALM, and the user is done. And we know that functionality was on the roadmap for quite some time. The SAP harmonized data approach is going to SAP BTP DMS. And for customers who are in the cloud world, S/4HANA Cloud, public cloud, they already have the BTP DMS storage. Yeah, so that's the easiest way to for documentation to be stored now as part of this whole BTP family. What we do in Cloud ALM, basically we say if you want to go with external files, if you want to upload your files to Cloud ALM, you need to bring the BTP DMS storage. Yeah, because again, as part of the fair usage policy, we will not be able to give you all the, I don't know how many gigabytes you need for all your documentation, that's for sure. However, you can use your BTP DMS, create here, very easy in the BTP, create here your own tenant, or request your own tenant, create a repository there, and that's why I said it's managed by the customer. And you don't have to do it. You can still work the way that I showed before. Use the rich text editor, use URLs to a SharePoint. But if you really want to go this way, then BTP DMS is the first choice right now. Now, we will not right now have a direct integration to SharePoint. I just say this right now to make it really clear. However, BTP DMS offers also the possibility to work with external repositories, like Google Docs, and hopefully in the future also with SharePoint. Yeah, they have to align to certain CMIS standards, and then a SharePoint repository could be used. But then we go also into this problem of, okay, I work in Cloud ALM on a document, and then in the SharePoint, so there's a whole can of worms. So we start really simple, but it's easy to use, and will probably do the trick for 80% of the customers. So the document is exactly the same document that I showed. You will see it here. Directly, I will show a video in a moment. The metadata is maintained in Cloud ALM, the owner, the status, the priority, etc. And then the external file is stored in the BTP DMS, but basically for the end user it's invisible. They kind of upload it to Cloud ALM. They don't have to care where it is located. It's connected, so they know it's now in Cloud ALM. And the document cannot be changed from another application somehow. Okay, so let's have a look into the video. I brought two videos, one very simple uploading of document. And here, as you see, I just create a new title. And instead of using the content, I can still use the content if I want to have a short description. But now I can just go to upload, I select my file, and here I can then basically upload the document to Cloud ALM. It will now still, it's an MVP, it's a first version. You will have not all the preview and all the good stuff, but again, as you know, iteration-wise, we will get bigger and bigger. You can now maintain the status, and also, you can now relate it to your processes, your requirements, assign it to the process hierarchy, etc. So do all the things you saw before, but with the addition of the external file. If you have the external file tab, you know that there's a BTP available. If not, then it's not. Okay, so that's very simple. From here, you can just click on the file, the second video that I brought is basically the replacing. So now, let's say I have a new version, and very simple, I go here to edit. I have here then the replace button. There will also be a delete, so I can also delete the external file and upload it later. And now I can upload the second version. And here, maybe something I need to, I need to stop this video. I thought I could do it. Yeah. Basically, let me go back. Basically, you know that we have this draft concept in Cloud ALM. That means if you're typing in the content and somehow your browser stops, all the information is saved. Yeah? And this is this draft handling. So you will also see that maybe somebody else have a draft version they're working on. And the good thing is here, with this draft concept, in the draft version, you already have version 2 of the document. In the released version, or in your saved version, it's version 1. The moment you click save, the version 2 of the document will replace the version 1. So very simple concept, but for the beginning, I would say, yeah, a good starting point. Please try it out. It will come this year, so I'm happy to get some feedback on the first functionality then. Another topic, sorry, I'm too quick. History. We know that this is a big topic and we need to have it for documents for sure. And here you see a preview of something we're working on. So very simple here, you have a change history of the document, so it will be another tab here. And then you can see all the changes that you have made. Maybe in the beginning you will not have all the changes. We will also here iteratively add more information, but you know, who set the status or who changed the relation and who released the document, who made any kind of changes of the external file, etc. Next topic is document access control and two-step deletion. What does it mean? For sure, right now you can just delete a document and it's gone, and I know that this can be frustrating because you don't know who deleted the document, you cannot prevent people from deleting documents, and I get this feedback quite often. So what we will implement is also here, try to keep it simple, but a document you can, it's hard to read, I know, but you have basically here, you have basically edit, and then you will have, instead of delete, you will have an archive button. And if you click the archive button, then you will see here two options. One is restore and one is delete. But the delete button you will only have if you have this deletion authorization. Yeah, so here we will add another step that you have to have this authorization for deleting objects. And if you have this, you can delete it. If not, you can just archive your elements and then somebody else needs to do the deletion. But the archived, you can see here, first of all, they get this little prefix here. You will see that you will not see them in reporting, in traceability, tracking, etc. And in the list view, you can only see these archived documents if you turn on inactive and active and archived, I think it's called. Something like this, you will find out. But it's basically the same concept then for requirements and tasks. So we try to really have the same concept in all applications. Okay, so that's animation. Good, so what did I show? I showed you what we have here, STD, we do library elements, we do relations. I didn't show document templates, but we will, next to the copy that I showed is already possible, we will have, develop a simple way to create your own document templates. I know that this is a topic with a lot of emotions coming from Solution Manager. You could do basically everything, your own status values, etc. And at a certain point of time, we will go into this whole configuration topic, but here maybe we start next year with a simpler approach, but again, creating your own templates, and then wherever you are, you can just select one of the templates and create it from there. Very similar to what the requirements already have. I also didn't mention, something like notification. I talked to some colleagues yesterday. This is a hot topic because for collaboration reasons, commenting, notification, to make sure people get their documentation ready. So that's basically, searching some other function. There might be even more, but I don't want to make any sweating here in the front of the front of the row. So that's what we have planned definitely for the next quarters. And something that is a little bit in part of my heart is this whole GenAI use case. Yesterday I had a little demo. I don't know who attended this. In the afternoon we have another session, actually with the co-innovating colleagues from All for One at 2:45, where we show this in more depth. But we are working on some GenAI use cases. Just imagine, we don't want to go into this whole I write documentation everywhere. Nobody wants to create specification, process documentation, creating blueprints. We want to get away from this. And that's why I also really urge you to not just put all the stuff from Solution Manager into the cloud and think about maybe retrieving some information out of the documents and use maybe a simple subset of information in Cloud ALM. And here, when you think about also, we had this, in the content, we had this little, this rich text editor. But this information we can easily work with. Just imagine what can happen if we have all the information in the requirements, the features, test cases, process descriptions, and we can just generate certain documentation. Nobody has to sit there and write it in Word. And that's what we are really heavily looking into and investigating. And here I just want to highlight 2 use cases. One, I will just not talk about a lot, but basically it's about generating requirements based on transcripts from Fit to Standard workshops. And it's really working well. Have a look in the afternoon. It's really a great starting point. A next use case is if you then have the requirements, you should get from SAP some recommendations, or basically from, we call SAP Joule for Consultants, a recommendation on how could we then create, which user stories, how can I solve this requirement based on the latest and greatest knowledge which is out there in many sources. And you search through communities and you search through videos, etc. But why should not somebody bring it all to your hands directly into the tool? So recommending user stories, maybe even creating user stories, one of the next use cases. And for sure, the beloved topic of extracting out of Cloud ALM. So far, there's not so much possibility to just extract everything. Yes, you can actually, in the project analysis, you can download in the analysis apps, there's an Excel export, which is actually not that bad. But we know that there are still some gaps. Also here, we don't want to work on reports where you can create your own, fields. Why don't we let GenAI here fill certain templates that you just bring and fill it from all the information that we have in Cloud ALM and generate this document. So this is one of the next use cases we're working on, and maybe next year you really see this already working. So I brought here one of the little demo for this requirement creation, but again, this will be in the afternoon, so I will not show it now. You can see it later. And because I only have 7 minutes, I just want to make sure, give us feedback, not just here on the in the event app on the session, but give us feedback on the functionality. I mentioned, I think 2 years ago, the first time that we have want to introduce a customer council. We did this, and if you're interested in joining this, because here we discuss really concepts and we show you what we have planned and we get your feedback, you can actually give here before the functionality is out. If you're interested in this, there is some FBA process we need to go through. So that's why you can send me an email. My email is at the end of my presentation, and you'll find it in the app as well. And then we can start the process if you're not yet already part of the council. Anybody, any council members here? Yay! Yo, cool. All right, cool. So, more to come, and very happy. And the council is also a good place for you to exchange ideas. Because you don't want to also only just listen to us, what we bring. There are so many great ideas, and you can learn also from the others. So the council is also a great way to exchange, not just to us, with beyond or kind of among each other. Okay, then I have my 5 minutes, perfect in time. I got the yellow, the orange box, and I open up for questions. Any questions? Please. Sven, here in the front.
I was just curious about this spreading of the documents in DMS storage or inside Cloud ALM. What about the search functionality inside the documents?
Yeah.
Is it a rude question?
No, it's a good question. So basically with this BTP DMS, the good thing is the colleagues are developing things like hell. Really new functionalities, and we can use whatever they develop then partly for our functionality or within Cloud ALM. So we know that the requirement for a document search, or let's say, cross search, or I don't know what you want to call it, is out there. They don't have it yet. Yeah? But we working on the internal, let's say, Cloud ALM search. But I know that this is something we need to tackle. It's not an easy topic, but we also really hope that the BTP DMS colleagues will provide us something that we can then use within Cloud ALM. But no timeline or anything, but I know that this is a very important topic.
Okay, second question. In implementing Focus Build, we have the ability to ensure and force people to create their documents. Will we have similar functionality in CAR?
Right now you can only see in the analytics, let's say, where is no documentation attached, or where is documentation not in the right status, etc. We talk also about mandatory fields. I see this is a hot topic. We try to find good ways of doing this, maybe creating tasks automatically if a document is not there. We have, Lisa is gathering things for this Focus Build in Cloud ALM, so we know it's not only this, that you have to have a document, so you need to kind of find the right person who has to create a document, but also restrict that only certain document types can be attached to, let's say, a process. So we are working with Lisa on some of the constraints. It's not a topic that comes probably next year, but working on it, yeah. And also here we had one GenAI use case where basically you can do a good quality check. Let's say based on a certain template, how well are your documentation, or how well is your documentation completed based on a certain benchmark. This is a good GenAI use case where we don't have to go through and say, do we have mandatory field A, B, C? But give me the documents in a list that don't have all the information captured, or how good percentage-wise is the template filled. All of these things, I don't want to do this manually. I really try here to go a little bit more the modern path. So stay tuned for these kind of use cases. But good point, yeah. Sorry.
Is there a plan for approving documents and have version control and version management?
Yes. I see. Version management, I think I didn't even touch. It was a hot topic. But I'm already working on the concept. So in the council, we will definitely talk about the version concept. We have multiple ideas and want to play it through. The BTP DMS already allows versioning. Yeah, so this has to work with our versioning. Yes, but versioning definitely. And we hopefully can start next year on this topic. Not maybe in all applications, but definitely for the documents, yes.
Last question.
And approvals, sorry. And approvals, yeah. Also with the approvals, not like digital signature within Cloud ALM, but here we have really good options with this creating own workflows, where you can create digital signatures or any kind of extra approval, standardization board signatures, whatever, as a workflow, but outside Cloud ALM for now. Yeah, so there is the option, but in Cloud ALM itself, it will definitely take some time.
I think I have a question about the tag administration. Are there any best practices? Because it can be like a gumbo soup if you start defining your tags and usage of the tags across the projects. Any further strategies on the?
Yeah, I mean, when I talk with some customers, they normally start with really defining a list for the project, creating the tags, tag groups, definitely creating tag groups with the tag values. Still, end users can add new tags or maybe create a wrong typo. That's possible. But right now, I think the plan is not to completely restrict it, because I get this question. So maybe I don't want end users to create tags. Right now, we say you can create tags, but if it's wrongly tagged, maybe then you can merge tags, things like this. But definitely, you should think about a certain list of tags when you get started. You can also tag later. Best practice, not really. I was thinking maybe asking the colleagues to maybe bring out a blog with some of the best practices that we see at customers. So I got this question before, so maybe we take this as a to-do for ourselves and bring out a blog describing some of the best practices. Also something maybe to bring to the council. What are your experiences with tags? No, I know that some of you already use tags in projects, so maybe some sharing would be good. So, okay. More questions? Come on, this is documentation. Okay, I'm out of time. I got to. Thank you so much for your interest, and yeah, hopefully had some good to say.